Teaching in the US has become unbearable. Trigger warning for some pretty heavy topics. But I have to vent this somewhere. I am no longer in education, but I want to provide those curious with a glimpse into what it's like to be a part of the most predatory, toxic employment system I have ever worked in my life. For context, I have a BS and got halfway to an M.Ed. in order to get my teaching certification in my state and was awarded Teacher of the Year. I taught mostly middle grades at a few different places, but none of them were particularly low income, on the rough side of town. In only a few years in the system, I started at $32,000 salary and ended at $38,000. Standard $1,000 increase each year until you max out at $50,000. You cannot make more than that with the new pay structure in my state. My take-home was less than $2,000 a month my last year. We were also all contract employees who could be terminated anytime, or non-renewed at the end of each year, and were not allowed to unionize, as it is illegal in my state. Had a parent use my personal information to find my address, then come to my apartment to scream at me from the parking lot and threaten to fight me. Taught in a stairwell for 4 months because there were no rooms left. Yes, a literal stairwell. I had a class of 20 plus that would sit on the stairs and I would teach from a whiteboard on wheels at the base of the stairs. Had to pay $150 each day of school I missed, regardless of the reason, to pay for my substitute. Half the time, we couldn't even find a sub. So what happened to my money? Was stabbed with scissors, pushed down the stairs, and choked against a wall, with no consequences for any of the students involved. In fact, it was my fault for challenging students I knew would react poorly and for the way I approached them and made them feel threatened. Multiple coworkers I know were injured badly enough in various scuffles that they were unable to work and were taken away in ambulances, yet denied workers' comp. Had a 5th grader attempt to unalive himself in my classroom with a pair of scissors. Not just for attention, a pretty genuine attempt. Survived an intruder who came through our unlocked, unmanned front doors to attack a student. Our classroom doors did not lock and opened outward, and we did not have working phones in our classrooms. I had to use all my strength to wrestle him through the door handle to keep my students safe. The principal made it sound like an unavoidable accident, despite us having raised concerns about the state of the building for months. Shared my space with roaches and mice at each school I worked at. Had to defend my fellow teachers from accusations made by students, going as far as to file blatantly false police reports. Another teacher was suspended without pay during the investigation, only for it to be proven to be completely unfounded. The student eventually admitted he made it all up, but he never faced any consequences. Coached after school for hours each week with no additional stipend. We also did not get lunch breaks and were forced to eat in the cafeteria alongside students. Regularly had students loot my belongings, picking locked desk drawers to get to my purse or expensive electronics, or even eat food out of my lunchbox. They took almost anything that wasn't nailed down. We also had to buy everything for our rooms, including pencil sharpeners and paper. Struggled to pay for the copies I needed to teach my kids. We were never given textbooks, but to use the copier, it cost a penny a page. So for my 118 total students, that was $1.18 to make a single-sided worksheet. And we were given a small amount each month, so anytime I had to print a test, it was ended up coming out of my pocket. Had a student conduct a dress rehearsal with a duffel bag and bulletproof vest to test our security response, only for us to be told we were overreacting when we demanded he be removed from class. He also found where we lived, called our home phones, and took pictures of us through our windows. Nothing could be done, because he was a minor and it wasn't during school hours. We were always told we were not permitted to press charges or sue students or their families. Even though we absolutely could have. Was forced to attend school even after threats had been made. We were told, just stay away from the windows, and ate lunch in our classrooms when a student threatened another student via Snapchat with a knife and said he was going to do it during recess. We asked our AP for help and guidance. And his response was, keep your eyes open and move fast. Dealt with students playing obscene sounds, showing child PR0N, making overtly inappropriate comments and physical contact toward students and teachers during class. Students asked me things like, do you have an OnlyFans? And, ooh, what does that mouth do? While I was taking a drink from my water bottle. Students also frequently recorded teachers on their laptops. Then edited what we said, and would show it to parents, admin to try to get us fired. Had to break up fights, address hate crimes, and stop drug deals. Also, during the Devious Licks TikTok challenge, kids took everything from the bathrooms, even the urinals. Regularly had parents tell me, to my face and through email, that I was a waste of space, a terrible person, and to unalive myself. A few favorites include, you are a waste of space and you could do us all a favor and go jump off a bridge, now that I've met you. I see why my child hates you, and, oh, you're sorry? I'll come up there and make you sorry. Struggled to help students through serious trauma like self-harm, being homeless, in group homes, living in a shed, dealing with the death of a parent, being diagnosed with cancer, etc., since there just were not enough mental health staff and resources to help them. Sought help from administrators, only to regularly be told that I was the problem. Kids wouldn't act out if I was more interesting. Kids wouldn't make comments about my body if I didn't wear those clothes. Being jeans and a school-issued t-shirt? Kids wouldn't threaten me if I would just stop them from doing what they wanted and giving out consequences. At the end of the day, I just wasn't working hard enough and it wasn't their job to do mine for me. Reading all this back now, I see that it's so crazy that I can honestly understand you might struggle to believe this unless you have been a teacher. This is only some of the things I endured while working 60+ hours a week dealing with some of the least appreciative and most disrespectful people I have ever encountered. And I'm not talking about the kids. It was like an abusive relationship. I knew I should leave, but I stayed in it for the kids. But now that I'm out, I can see clearly that this is not how professionals deserve to be treated. This is not every school and not every teacher's experience. But it's becoming more and more commonplace. Teachers have been sounding the alarm for years but are regularly ignored or written off. We can't keep doing this, something's got to give. TLDR. Teachers and students deserve so much better. You had to pay for your sub? That's insane. Is the state part of the lotto, where they can brag how much money goes to education? After a BS and M.Ed degree and 3 years of being full-time, I quit. The things we were expected to deal with was insane. In any other job we would be able to press charges if we were physically assaulted. Any other job that dealt with a fraction of what I went though in education, and they'd be sitting on fortunes from all the money they made by suing. I was coming home with bruises on my body. I've had chairs thrown on me, a brick thrown on me, scissors thrown in my direction, been punched and kicked all over my body, my hair pulled on multiple occasions. A male student tried to pee on me. A student who tried with all their might to wipe their boogers on me. I've been spit on. In my face. I've been scratched. I've been slapped. I've been bitten. I've had my whole office destroyed. Everything. Papers. Pens. Books in my cabinets. Looked like a tornado hit. My personal items stolen as well as items I purchased for student use. fidgets, magnets, Uno, prize box items. I was expected to chase after students who decided to run outside and onto the street, neighborhood, in the rain and freezing cold. I was told these insane behaviors were my fault and I need to do something better. I once had to hide in my office while a student was banging on my door trying to hurt me. No one came to help me despite me calling on the radio for backup. I had to assist in removing whole classrooms from a hall because one student was being so insane that it became a safety hazard for the rest of the classrooms in the hall. I knew the sheriff by first name basis from them being at my school almost every day. To others who have never worked in a school, been in this situation, you might be wondering why I allowed this to happen. I didn't. I couldn't put my hands on any of the students because then I would be accused of something and could end up in jail. Although they can physically abuse us with no consequence. I was coming home mentally and physically drained. I cried every single night. I applied to so many positions in other industries but couldn't get anything due to my degrees only being applicable for schools. I finally left. I left without any notice. And I didn't give a damn. No one cared about me and all the BS I went through on a daily basis, so I didn't give a shoot about them not having me. And let me tell you, it was the best thing I have ever done in my life. It's been a while, but less than a year. And I still have nightmares. I'm so sorry you went through this. 3 of my relatives left teaching due to similar experiences. It was seriously ruining their health. 2 had master's degrees, 1 PhD, and many years of experience. Our society is sick. Teaching living in the US has become unbearable. This is so crazy to me. When I was in school, public, the teachers were respected and adored. The kids that did cause trouble were swiftly dealt with and were responsible for their actions. I'm in my late 30s. So this wasn't even that long ago. Posts like these make me thankful that I left public school 6 months after getting my degree. My tolerance for nonsense is thin when it comes to the severe underpaidness that comes with working in public education. My check was $800 per month. Tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. Yeah, I said F those kids and got a job in a hospital. My heart was never that big after having $800 to last me an entire month. Crossmark. Kudos to you for leaving. I was a high school teacher for 6 years and 80% of the things you mentioned happened to me too. I will never ever go back, and I won't be sending my kids to public school either. Our teachers would be interested in this. It's likely you'll see more who are going through or have been through what you have on a sub like that. Teaching system has gone to hell. I hope you're in a better position now. And I'm sorry you were put in a job that made it seem like that was okay. This is why I switched to teaching college. Also, the workload in high school full-time is 5 hours 5 days a week. In my full-time university job I teach 6 hours twice a week. It's things like this that make me wonder why we even have public education. It's not like children can realistically learn well in such environments. And then it occurs to me that education may not be the goal, but just a way to get kids out of the way while the labor of their parents is demanded. I'm not a teacher, but I have friends that are or were, so I believe it. Our teacher reality. JFC. Fuck this country. All part of the conservative plan for all schools to be private and religious. When I still taught, I had a student get between me and my then pregnant wife, also a teacher at the time, and threaten me, making a gun shape with his hands and trying to pin me against a fence. Admins were shocked when I asked them to remove him from the class for even just a few days. And refused. I left teaching altogether after that year and am in a much happier and higher-paying line of work now. I couldn't even finish reading it all. But I hope you are getting therapy. I teach middle school now and I'm about to leave the career. It's never been like how you described, but terrible in different, less violent ways. Are you in the South? My grandmother had to quit teaching and retire a long time ago due to the conditions you've described. She's even still traumatized by it. That's how bad it was. You need to move to a union state if you want to continue teaching. Fun fact: NJ schools start middle school teachers at $60K a year plus extra if they coach a team or a club plus pension. Plus 3% 403B match. My friend does this and the worst he's had to deal with is a kid pissing in a Gatorade bottle in the corner and the occasional bathroom vape session. Oh, and did I mention they are paying for his master's program? I'm sorry you had to experience those things, but I think it may be more of a symptom of the state you live in than education as a whole. Maybe come visit sometime and see if you like the state.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.